welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Sagittarius, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of January 2023. I hope you are well. I'm using the Pagan Other Worlds Tarot for you today. There are 3 links in the description box beneath this video. The first one is to the extended. If this reading resonates with you and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, then you can access that extended at the end. The second link is to the 6-month overviews that I've done for each of the signs, running from obviously January to June 2023. So if you're interested in finding out what the first part of 2023 holds for you, by all means do go check that out. And the third link is to my private community over on Circle, the Order of the Phoenix. If you like to come and see what that's all about, do also feel free to do that. Now, with that all out of the way, let's see what's going on with you, Sag. Can I have 3 cards for Sag, please? Oh, a total fucking glut here. I'm going to show them to you, but I'm not going to take them. We've got the Magician, the 7 of Cups, and the King of Swords. And I actually quite like that combination. The 7 of Swords suggests, 7 of Cups rather, in the middle, suggests that at the moment there's a little bit of fog around what your next move is, but because it's bookmarked by the Magician and by the King of Swords, there's going to be opportunities for you to make decisions coming up very soon, and they're coming from a very capable place, right? Your ability to make this decision, these decisions, is coming from a very capable place. But don't worry too much if you don't know what the where the edges of this are yet. It's coming. Let's try that again. Oh, fucking hell. We've got the Ace of Wands and the Chariot, right? So let's just take those, because otherwise we could be here all day. Right, 2 cards for now. What's going on with Sagittarius now? Thank you. We have the King of Swords. He's out again, right? There's the timing coming in. And we have the King of Wands in your January placement. What's coming up for you here? We've got the 7 of Swords at the bottom of the deck. And I don't feel like there's anything inherently deceptive around you at the moment, Sagittarius. I feel like this is more about your willingness to take risks. Because there's movement here in the Chariot and there's movement in the King of Wands, but for some reason I don't get a sense of the movement happening yet. It's all the preparation work for the movement, if that makes sense. Let's get some clarifiers down here about the Chariot and the Ace of Wands. We've got the Page of Cups. The Chariot and the Ace of Wands, please. And we've got the King of Pentacles. One more for Sag. Thank you. And we've got the King of Swords again. Interestingly, turned up in the reverse here. Not too concerned about that. Tell me about the King of Swords. Thank you. 9 of Pentacles. 4 of Cups. There it is. And tell me about the King of Wands. Where's the King of Wands here? We have the 3 of Wands. There it is. And the 3 of Pentacles in reverse. Very interesting. Queen of Cups at the bottom of the deck. Let me spin this around so you can see what a mess I've made of the table right now. Put these here. Oh, it's fucking freezing this morning. I'll put the heating on or something. I'm just trying to hard it out with my blanket, but blanket's not cutting it. Anywho, take a look at what we've got down here on the table and look at what's going on. We've got some kind of stop-start energy going on. But I don't feel like the stop-start is in terms of what you are actually doing at this point. More towards what you are, more about what you're moving towards, as it were. So the Chariot is about forward motion, essentially, right? It is about having a plan, sticking to it, and moving forwards in a very determined way. In order to do X, Y, and Z, whatever it is that you've planned. And it's here with the Ace of Wands, which is an initiatory energy of, I think, in some way or another, changing your life, right? It's that inspiration to change your life. And because the Wands suit, for me, always deals with matters of lived... I hate that phrase and I keep saying it. Living and experience, let's put it that way instead. What actually feels like is going on here is the drive and the motivation to change your life in some way or another that is not yet ready to see its expression outside of you. Now, whether or not this has meant that, or the reason for it, is because there's been a bit of mental shuffling around that's needed to happen, maybe a little bit of emotional shuffling around that's needed to happen, there's certainly an amount of resource shuffling that's needed to happen. That's possibly it. But the King of Swords in reverse, rather than speaking to any deficit in your mental acuity, feels like it's simply a statement of an understanding by you that it is not yet time to start making those big moves, right? The decision-making process, such as it is, has already had its inception. The ball is already rolling. There's no need to rush. And I don't feel like that's me telling you that. I think that's your innate understanding. There is no need to rush here. The big decision, as it is to change your life. The details of that are still being ironed out, I feel, at this point. You know, we've definitely had some emotional stuff going on with the Page of Cups. You know, the Page is also an initiatory energy. It's the start of something, but it's taking something that you already have and it's moving it in a different direction. So there have been feelings that have come up for you about perhaps the way that you live and the way that you're going to change it and all that sort of stuff. And maybe they were expected and maybe they weren't. But I'm sensing ease is the wrong word. There's a very mature understanding that there's always a cost to something. And I don't mean, you know, you go into a shop and you have to hand over money to get the thing. I mean, whenever you're making the kind of big changes that it seems to me that you're getting ready to make, something's got to go so that something new can come in. And maybe it doesn't have to go in its entirety. Maybe it just needs to change the form in which you experience it. And so to be a little bit more specific, for example, you know, if you are planning to relocate, and I could definitely see that with the cards that we've got on the table here, that could be some aspect of what you're working with, then a cost for that would be, you know, the relationships that are currently very close might need to move a little bit further out, you know, in your emotional support network. They might not necessarily be on your doorstep anymore, but it just means that they're kind of transforming, they're changing form rather than disappearing altogether. Maybe there's been a realization actually that certain things, we talked about money a few months ago and how Sagittarius really hate money, and they hate the you know, they know that they need it and they utilize it very well, and they can go far, but at the same time it represents restriction to you in a lot of ways because you need it too, and that can be quite a difficult thing to kind of wrestle with at times. A King of Pentacles is very resourceful, so I think it might be you taking a new emotional approach to your resources and what they represent to you in order for long-term goals. You know, we're talking about long-term, possibly delayed gratification, which is mental. I'm talking to a Sagittarius about that. You know, it's a good indication of how much you've grown. But look how many kings we've got on the table here as well. Each of the kings being an aspect of the Emperor, and we've definitely seen the Emperor coming in for you quite strongly in the last couple of months. The fact that this King of Swords is here, I actually think speaks volumes with it being in the reverse over it being in the upright, because if it was in the upright, you know, it would just be forging ahead. This hanging back is actually being prompted by the energy of the King of Pentacles working on you at this point, and it's like, no, there are things that are more important that I am working towards. So patience at this time, really, really important, and understanding that I am not yet in a position to be making big decisions about things. and kind of stepping back. I've got the High Priestess, which makes me feel like you're just kind of letting things flow at the moment, right? We talk sometimes about that skill that you have to fire an arrow and just see where it goes. Not even see where it goes. You fire the arrow, and the arrow is the goal. The arrow is the thing that you want to pull off. What there isn't is, for you, is an attachment to the way that you find that arrow again. There's a deep kind of spiritual connection to your intent and wherever you fire it off. But for Sagittarians, I think often the joy is in the experiences that you've had along the way, or that you choose to have along the way, simply because you're open to it, not fixated on outcomes. Which is interesting because, fire signs often can. But of all the 3 fire signs, so you're the least likely to be attached to the outcome, because you enjoy the process. We've got the Hermit card there. These 2 very internal cards of changes percolating away inside of you, ready for the point at which movement occurs. I like this very much. But, speaking of the King of Swords, we move into your current energy, and there is the King of Swords. There are decisions actually being made now at this point, and they are to do with your resources. And potentially we're back to this idea of the cost here. This sense of kind of juggling around what you have to achieve what you want, and knowing that some things along the line are probably not going to work out quite the way that you thought, and that's okay. Like, it feels okay. The Wheel of Fortune is in charge here. That's your card, Sagittarius. It's ruled by Jupiter. And interestingly, Jupiter has just moved into Aries. Who was I talking to about this? Which sign was it? Oh, it was Aries, actually. There you go. Because I'd watched this astrology video by Adam Ellenbos, if any of you are familiar with him. And he'd made the video because he said he'd been contacted by loads of people, and some of his students as well, who were all asking why it was that things hadn't just gone, vertical, things taking off like a rocket. Why is Jupiter not expanding this huge, big initiatory energy of Aries and making us all feel like everything was shiny and new and possible? Well, you probably feel like that, but you're ruled by Jupiter, so that's a thing, right? And he explained it was because Jupiter had actually already been in Aries last year. I think it was back in late spring, and it had moved through, or he had moved through, the first 8 degrees of Aries before retrograding back out again, I think, if I understood that correctly. And so where we are right now, which is probably in like 1 degree of Aries, right? We're just retreading ground that we've already covered, right up until we hit the 9th degree of Aries, and then everything's going to feel different. Everything's going to feel like we've got that movement, right? But don't forget that we're also in the midst of Mercury retrograde right now. Mars is very firmly in retrograde too. What else is in retrograde? Or do I feel like Venus might be in retrograde at the moment? Well, that might be coming up at least. Anyway, we've got this forward motion happening towards the end of January, and that's when the new, as represented by the Ace of Wands and everything else, is going to start feeling like it's much more of a reality. Now, I think you're quite patient about that. Honestly, I think you're just biding your time and doing your thing. We've got the Ace of Wands. It's not the Ace of Wands. Clearly, the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck here, which speaks to truth, and it can speak to epiphanies and new ideas and new ways of thinking. And it's almost like you've waited for the presence of the Ace of Swords before really pulling out your King of Swords. I think there's... It's crow scarers. I don't think there's actually people shooting out in the fields there. It's interesting how the King of Swords is the one that is separating the King of Wands from the wand, right there. You know, even the King of Wands is looking this way, like, dude, what are you doing? You're getting in between me and my wand. It's like there's more mental stuff that needs to go on with you yet. You know, we've got the King of Pentacles down here and no pentacle as yet, but that's okay because we're still very much in the formulating the idea of what this is going to be like. I mean, for some of you, it might be about the visualization of this now. You know, you had an initial bump, this is my idea. Now it's about fleshing it out. Now it's about giving it substance and depth. But the King of Swords and the Ace of Swords are aligned here. The truth is, you're going to get what you want. But the truth also is that you have no idea what that's going to look like. Which is fine. That's absolutely fine. Tell me about this Four of Cups. Got the Two of Cups in reverse. That's interesting. And the Knight of Cups. I do feel like there are some relationships that are being sacrificed to take you to where you want to go, but it's almost like you're getting bigger, Sagittarius. Now these relationships that are being sacrificed, I actually don't feel like, for the most part, these are very close relationships. You know, these are acquaintances. These are people that you've probably spent a lot of time with day to day. And there's a bond that builds up, obviously, over time with that sort of thing. But when it's balancing out against what it is that you do want, what it is that you can have, right? Understanding, again, like I was saying before, that there is a cost. There's a willingness to pay it, though. Because those that are true will remain, albeit in a different form to the way that it's experienced now. This feels like it's far too important for your emotional development not to go with this. I don't think that Sagittarius ever really have a problem in heading towards what it is that they want, but you've had the last few years have been pretty ropey for everyone. Whilst you've come through it really quite well, you know, there have been dark points there for you, and you have had to go back and revisit what you thought you knew. And sometimes it can be quite difficult to realise that what you thought you knew was actually probably a bit bollocks, really. And that just like everybody else, there was trauma that was kind of lurking beneath the surface that was giving you this impression of free will, giving you this impression that you were in charge of your life. And the reality was, it was something rather different to that. That you found a way of coping, and you found a way of holding on to what was the important bit of you and keep moving forwards, you know? But in truth, you were just as restricted as everybody else because you allowed yourself to be restricted. You know, for some of you, I mean, it could have been the breakdown of a relationship in the past that has seen you come to where you are now. And if that is the case, although there may still be pain around that, I do feel where you are emotionally, you wouldn't trade for the world, actually. So, yeah. There's an amount of mental assertiveness that I'm feeling for you that is really, really strong. And it's that Ace of Swords coming up for you there. But it's working in tandem with all of the other bits of you. Like, this is what is making you so powerful at the moment, Sagittarius, because there's confidence in what you know, but there's also a confidence in what you don't know. There's no pretense here. There's no, I've got all of the answers. It's quite humble. And you're working to a plan. And it's important because it's your plan. Now, you might be working in tandem with somebody else to pull this plan off. And, in the 6-month overviews, you really were the only sign that didn't seem to be getting somewhat of a kicking over the 6 months. You seem to be following your own thread very fucking nicely. And that's a place of power for Sagittarius. Completely ignoring the chaos that is going on around you. Have maybe one eye on it because you observe shit and you need to know that it's there. But it affecting this here and now with you, not at all. For every single one of the other signs, the tower was coming out and smacking them around and doing all those kind of things to them, making them grow really, really fast. And your growth is also fast, but it's the one that seemed most... What's the word that I'm looking for? Self-propelled. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. You seem to be the one who was least affected by external circumstances, least affected by other people. Your growth is exponential in exactly the same way as all of the other signs are, but it's almost like that cascading chaos is what forces everybody to do that. With you, it's you're following this. I actually feel it. It's like a really solid line. You don't even have to have your eyes open. You can just follow it like this. And this is because your heart is open. Now, Sag, it can open more, and you can achieve more. And you will. But where you're at right now, I got the envies, I'm not going to lie. especially after the, January Leo reading. Fucking hell. So, we're coming to January and we've got the King of Wands. Now, that is strictly Leo, but it can be used to indicate any of the fire signs, right? And it's the active expression of the fire energy. So, this isn't just about planning, and it's not just about thinking about stuff. It's not just about making sure that you really understand what you're doing, that you considered all possibilities from all angles. The King of Pentacles and the King of Swords work together very, very well in that sort of stuff. January is a time for action for you. It is a time to start doing things. And I would go as far as to say, if you are working in tandem with someone else, this is not a month for waiting for them to do it with you. This is about you doing it by yourself. It could be that there's a bit of initiative on your part that needs to be taken, but it's all about the doing. We've got the King of Wands and we've got the Three of Wands here. For some of you, you might be going on some kind of trip that is quite important, and if you are, you'll be going probably by yourself by the look of it here. Because you seem to be stepping up, Sagittarius, right? Understanding that the energy is changing and now it's time to move. I mean, it could be that this isn't coming in until kind of late January, once the retrogrades, Mars and Mercury, and I'm talking about here, have kind of settled down and they've stationed direct, and they're like, all right, we're going to start moving forwards again, like they do. And you're like, now is the time. Tell me about this Three of Wands, please. Because you have been biding your time. We've got the Ten of Swords. That's interesting. Thank you. The Nine of Wands. That's interesting. Could you be needing to go and sort something out, Sagittarius? I think possibly you might. I don't want to dig into this too much because we've got to, we're going to talk about some stuff in the extended. The Ten of Swords is something coming to an end, and it's usually an uncomfortable end. This could well be one option that you had for your plan that is turning out not to be the way forwards. Yeah, almost certainly. Something's going to need to be revised, I think. The Nine of Wands talks about, I can talk about boundaries and resilience and all that sort of stuff. And actually, although those are two kind of difficult cards in the way that they've been placed there, I don't think the level of investment that you had in this thing was sufficient that it's going to knock you off your perch, particularly. You know, the Eight of Cups is just like, well, you know, that didn't work, so I'm going to leave that behind. I'm going to do something else instead. How about this Three of Pentacles, please? Yes. The Five of Cups. And the Five of Swords. This is so interesting, though, Sag, because it doesn't feel like these energies, like these darker energies here are yours. Ten of Swords, Nine of Wands in reverse, which is a Sagittarius card, interestingly. Five of Cups, Five of Swords. It feels like you're in, I want to say kind of like firefighting mode or damage limitation mode, but the damage isn't yours. It doesn't feel like it's anything to do, well, it is something to do with you, but it doesn't feel like it touches you. You know what I just said a minute ago? Like, this bit of you is perfectly intact and working really well, and almost oblivious is the wrong word. Impervious to whatever else is going on here. There are things that you need to sort out this month, and it's not you. It affects you in some way, in so much as it touches on your life. But these here feel to me like other people's issues that you're dealing with. What's up here? Yeah. Right, Three of Pentacles, absolutely. And you coming in and being the healing balm here, Sagittarius. I think, interestingly enough, that this month is going to feel a little bit like you're taken away from what it is that you're planning on doing or trying to do. It's almost like there's a whole heap of shit that just arrives at your door. And it's other people's feelings about stuff. It's other people's thoughts about stuff. It could be the way that people feel you pulling away because you are getting ready to move. You're getting ready to take your life into a different direction. Or it could be something entirely unrelated to it, on the face of it, that you're being asked to come and sort out. It's almost like you're attempting to pull away from people because this is the next chapter of your life and you're getting ready for that. And you're being pulled back in some way. But honest to God, Sagittarius, it actually feels like you're tidying up other people's messy brains and messy emotions this month. And it almost feels like it's something for you to do. While everybody's, I don't know. How do I put it that way? Ten of Swords, please. Four of Cups in reverse and the Ace of Cups is coming out to clarify the Ten of Swords there. This isn't you. Like, that's confirmation that this is not you. All of your emotions are in exactly the right place and they feel really good. Four of Cups in reverse is a feeling of actually great gratitude for stuff. Ace of Cups, really rocking that relationship that you have with yourself at the moment. Like, you're feeling pretty fucking good this month to me, Sagittarius. But other people are not, and these are people with whom you do have some sort of relationship. It doesn't have to be an intimate relationship. You know, we have a relationship with a person that we buy a chocolate bar from this shop, right? It just seems like everybody is bringing their shit to you and being like, Now, we'll get into it in the extended to see whether this is actually directly related to the kind of big life shift that you're trying to make. But I feel like it might be tangential. It might just be that you are, for whatever reason this month, very visible to people who need help, possibly. But certainly are thinking and feeling about things in a way that is not particularly conducive to moving forwards. And for whatever reason, it sees you being roped in to kind of sort this out, to be the healing balm over the top. I mean, we saw it, the Star is a card of healing, Temperance is also a card of healing. There's something about your aura this month, Sag, that has you actively going around and just healing people by way of your attention. Now this might sound a bit like, it's a bit of a waste of my month, but it feels like it's really important for your next step, to be honest. Got Queen of Cups underneath the Star. And I can't really put it any more clearly than that. Nothing about this stops your forward momentum, but it does sort of seem to be moving sideways a little bit. And that might well be much more clear. The reasons for it might be much more clear by February. But for January, I would just roll with it and see what happens. This is really intriguing. I pulled far too many cards out here for YouTube. Like, this is fucking Vimeo level stuff. So I'm going to go over to Vimeo now. I'm going to pull this apart a little bit. This specifically, because I want to understand this a little bit more, and I want to be able to put that in a way that so you know what's coming too. But like I said, you're pretty impervious, Sag. Like, this month might be a month where it feels very much that it's not about you, and that's okay, because there is a point to it. So if you'd like to come join me over there, do feel free. I'm really intrigued. I'm so nosy. I know, really go to town on this. If not, no shade at all. Enjoy the month. I wouldn't expect necessarily too much of your own stuff to be moving forwards. But a lot is accomplished nonetheless. On a broader, in a broader sort of way. So, okay. Know that I love you all very, very much. And I will see you soon.